The following program is a production of Naleo TV.
As mayor of the county of Hawaii, this is a very smart virus.
But this cutting-edge technology is falling way behind schedule because down at the base of Mauna Kea,
Aloha and welcome to the 2020 County of Hawaii Mayoral Debate hosted by Big Island Pulse. It gives me great pleasure to introduce our moderator for tonight's event. She is a former broadcast journalist with 20 years of experience in the private and public sectors. She also served as a spokesperson and a communications lead for the late U.S. Senator Daniel Akaka and former Governor Neil Abercrombie. From the island of Oahu, Donalyn Dela Cruz.
Aloha and mahalo for having me serve as your moderator for this mayoral debate. It's an honor to be here. This debate is hosted by Big Island Pulse, where you can find the latest events, community happenings, and more. BigIslandPulse.com. This debate is coming to you live from the Naleo TV studio in Hilo. In the interest of transparency, we want to acknowledge that Naleo's president and CEO is a candidate for mayor. As such, Naleo's staff has not participated in the content of this debate. We would like to thank the Naleo technical team for their professionalism as Big Island Pulse brings this program to the people of Hawaii Island. To allow for proper physical distancing during this time of COVID, we will have two groups of candidates participating and vying to become your next mayor for the County of Hawaii. We hope to bring you an informative program so you can make your decision on which candidate deserves your vote. At this time, I would like to introduce our three panelists who will be asking questions. First, the Executive Director of the Hawaii Island Chamber of Commerce, Miles Yoshioka. Next, we have the owner and publisher of Big Island Pulse, Kristen Thario. Finally, we have community member Ilihia Johnson. Thank you, panelists, for your services today. And now to the candidates. Each candidate has drawn a random number to select their position within the group, and who will go first to introduce themselves. We'll then move clockwise to the next candidate until we have completed everyone in the group. Without further ado, our first candidate to start is Lahi Verschuur. Lahi, you're gonna have 1 minute. So thank you all candidates for being here. Lahi, go ahead.
Okay. Aloha, everybody. Thank you so much to the Big Island Pulse community and Naleo for hosting this event. My name is Cynthia Lahi Marlin Verschuur, and I'm running for mayor of Mokuʻokeʻawe. I would like to just start with a quote. This is actually an American proverb, and I am an American, unfortunately. So, we do not inherit the earth from our ancestors. We borrow it from our children. So I would just like to give a little bit about my background. I'm sure we'll be getting into the issues as we proceed with the debate. I am a Navy veteran. I served in the Operation Desert Shield and off the coast of Somalia back in 90 to 94. I was a lieutenant when I got out with a Navy Achievement Medal. And I have also worked as a documentary filmmaker. My company's name is Ikena Ho'olu Productions, Inspiring Growth Through Documentary Film. I am a graduate of Northwestern University. I have a bachelor's in philosophy. I have a master's in science from the University of Phoenix in psychology. And I intend to one day get my doctorate from Sophia University.
Thank you very much. This minute goes pretty quickly, but thank you, Ms. Verschuur. Mikey, Glendon, you're next.
Okay. Hello, my kako. I'm Mikey Glendon. I'm a resident of Hawaii Island my entire life. Education, I began at Kapalama for 5.5 years boarding for my high school career. Post-high school, I attended 1.5 years of UH Hilo College, majoring in mathematics. And then I also entertained work in the fields of the veterinary center for our animals, a fish company for our oceans, ranches for our ranch lands. I became a fireman to learn all the qualities in which to care for our population. And then my most proud honor is when I became a father. I took that to heart from the day I found out I was going to be a dad to present day, which my children have grown up, raised through the Hawaiian culture on this island. And then seeing their upbringing, that's what our population needs as a people, the upbringing in our Hawaiian culture with our Hawaiian cultural values.
Thank you. And now, Robert Greenwell.
Thank you for having us this evening, or this afternoon, I guess. Actually, I am Kelly Greenwell. Robert was my dad. He's been here longer than I have. I was born here, as he was. But refer to me as you will as Kelly. I think that's, everybody knows me there. I think probably the most important thing here is the fact that I've lived here for a long time, and it gives me a tremendous vantage point from which to gauge the changes and the things that have happened here in my lifetime, where we have been and where we are going. And we have before us right now a very critical time that we need to, I think, look at things from a different perspective. And I'm very happy to see so many people seeking the job as mayor, because it's a very diverse opportunity that we have going forward. So thank you very much.
And thank you, Mr. Greenwell. And now, Mike Ruggles.
Aloha, and thanks for this opportunity. I, too, am very pleased to see so many candidates coming out. And a lot of these guys I know. I went to college with Wendell. I did activism with Kelly. And I've known several of these other people from the community. And they're all prominent people that are trying to bring Hawaii forward. And the reason I'm a candidate is a bunch of prominent people came to me because they knew I had one quality that would help do what needs to be done, which is determination. And right now in this critical time, what we're gonna need to do is change our view on how we're looking at things. We can no longer go with trickle down, and we have to go with trickle up economics. And I'm hoping I'll have the opportunity to explain that a little later. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. And now we're going to go to the other wahine on this panel, Yumi Kawano.
Hi, I'm Yumi Kawano. My full name's Yumi Teresa Radke Kawano, and I came here about 15 years ago as a public school teacher, multiple subject endorsed, and also a biologist, worked with a lot of threatened and endangered birds and animals. And I'm a mother, and I pride myself in that. My greatest accomplishment has been probably raising my son, who's my campaign manager, Yamaradki Hilo High Grad. Yeah. And anyhow, I'm very proud of him. I'm many things to many people, but the main thing I am is I'm running for mayor because I care a lot about everybody, not just some people, but everybody. We're all in this together. We're at a monumental time, and I believe we can be a showcase to the world. So that's about it. I'm going to give you a perspective from a citizen here.
Thank you. And now Wendell Kaehuaia.
Hello, my name is Wendell Kaehuaia, running for the County of Hawaii Mayor. I served in the U.S. Navy, been a Hawaiian Homes farmer for about 40 years, and I also built 2 radio stations, one in Paneava and one in Ka'u. I have 3 college degrees from the University of Hawaii and a degree in economics. My goal, to return the county government back to the island people, residents of this island. No BS, no roadblocks anymore. We're fed up with that. We need to be more of service to you, the people, the residents and ohana of the island of Hawaii. I have the common sense, the education, and the background. Mahalo.
And mahalo. And now Paul Bryant.
Thank you. I came to Hawaii 30 years ago, and it was a big change of life in a sense because I had spent the previous 30 years in Japan. So the first thing we did was change our clothes. We started wearing aloha shirts and things like that. And we started a sheep ranch, which became very successful. I was doing 120, 140 spring lambs. And I opened up a fine arts gallery, which had originally been one of my projects in New York before I moved to Tokyo. And I had it in Tokyo also and here. at Hapuna Beach Prince Hotel. I'm running for mayor because I have seen a lot of things that have been done with half a butt cheek, and that really ticks me off. And it's about time that somebody pays attention to doing things within the law and not just make the law and the decisions on their own as they go along. Thank you.
Thank you. And our final candidate for this group, Ted Shaneyfelt.
Thank you. Yes, I'm the engineer running a $0 campaign, so I'm not accepting donations or spending even government money on this. You can call me Ted Shaneyfelt or Tokusan yonde kudasai. Call me Tokusan if you like. I am from Pahoa High School. I grew up in Leilani Estates. After that, I went to UH, was the first computer science graduate there. I've been doing engineering for probably a little over a decade. Came back to the university where I had gotten my BS. Since then I have 2 other degrees in engineering now, and PhD included. And so I've been doing mostly teaching since then at the university, also in other places like Texas and in China. At home, I grow lots of trees, like 100 of them, so I can understand what a lot of farmers go through, the demise of our bananas and such. And to me, it's the oath that is the job description.
Thank you. I know that was challenging, to do all in 1 minute. All of you have accomplished resumes, so we're going to just get started with our panel. So this is part 1 of the debate. It's where there's going to consist of 8 questions from the panelists, which were provided to each candidate in advance. Each candidate will have the opportunity to answer a question first and have 1 minute to respond. And again, you see the countdown here. In this round, we have Mikey Glendon, who's going to go first. And the first panelist with your question is Miles Yoshioka.
Aloha, Mikey, and thank you all to all the candidates for being here. First question, what in your background and experience gives you the capability to run Hawaii County, which has a $600 million budget and more than 2,000 employees?
Okay, so when you talk about experience in running a $600 million empire, I don't have it. What I do have is common sense, a heart, and a lifestyle that is represented here in Hawaii Island. And we do so on a very limited budget as a local people. We don't thrive for money. We thrive for respect, love, and aloha in any transaction we do. Now, when you add county as a business, it's really gonna boil down to whom I entertain as my team. Because you're not just hiring me, you're hiring my team, and my team is a beautiful vine in this whole island. Not only with family right around Hawaii Island, but friends of family, of myself, and of the career that my whole family has entertained. Our education at Kapalama with Kamehameha Schools. Our love and aloha here on the island will help all our people basically take care of us here at home.
Thank you. So same question, and now we're going to go to Robert Greenwell.
Same question?
Yes. Do you need the question repeated, or?
No.
Okay.
For a long, long time, people have considered that government was a business. And they always thought that having a great businessman was going to make a great mayor or governor, et cetera, or president for that matter. That couldn't be further from the truth. The fact of the matter is, what you want a leadership at the helm is somebody who appreciates that needs to be done, that does not make a profit, is not business, but helps the people. And I would say that government is the antithesis of business, and the last person you want running the show in government is a businessman. You want somebody with compassion, you want somebody with understanding, you want somebody with history. And that's it.
Thank you. And now, Mr. Ruggles, your response.
Yes, I've lived here for 45 years, and it's been a great life. I've raised 4 kids, and all of them love the community and participate in it. And as a small businessman, and someone who has raised children here and had to face the problems, I think this gives me the empathy you need where we need it right now, which is small business. If we were to give the incentives, economic incentives, we give high tech, because we gave them $1.3 billion in the last 15 years. If we were to just take that money and incentivize small business, I believe that would be the answer. And that's why I'm running. A lot of other people believe that's the answer, and they picked me because of my determination. Thank you.
Thank you. And now, Ms. Kawano, you have a minute to respond to this question.
Okay. Could you repeat it just one more time?
Sure.
Of course. What in your background and experience gives you the capability to run Hawaii County, which has a $600 million budget and more than 2,000 employees?
Okay. I can give you the perspective of a community development planning member on the Puna Action Committee. I've been doing this about 4 years, and another year before with Volcano. I think the biggest challenge I've seen is following the money. Where is that money going? And right now we have an incredible amount of FEMA money that's come in to help our communities. And I want to make community participant committees where the community is involved in the budget planning and not just a few people. And I want all of my department heads to be customer oriented very much. Training will be constant so that people feel like they're being heard, which I have felt I haven't been heard. So that's pretty much, and I'm a teacher, so I think teachers do a lot.
Thank you. And now, Mr. Ka'ehuaia, you have a minute.
You know, as mayor, you got to consider the factor. I'm sick and tired of pay raises every 2 years, pay raises, pay raises. You know, how about taking care of the ranchers, the farmers, all the regular people that we don't have pay raises automatic? You know, who make a living on $14 an hour, $18 an hour. The priority shouldn't be the pay raise and the 2,800 employees. It should be the service to the county of Hawaii, to the people of Hawaii. Nobody else.
Thank you. Mr. Bryant, now, do you have the question? Do you need time?
I'm fine.
Okay,
that's fine.
Go ahead.
One of the things that everybody asks me is, why do you want to be mayor? And I think that comes down to the fact that when you see so many things that are going wrong or are being done inaccurately or incompetently, you think leadership. And that's the problem I see. We have a county that has been misled repeatedly. And the problem there is the system of how one becomes mayor. It's managing director to mayor, managing director to mayor, and that managing director is always appointed by a mayor. So that doesn't mean a hell of a lot when it comes down to a voting situation. People are chosen by their connections, and I would rather be chosen for my ability to run a business. I had a small business, I had a farm. As a teacher, I taught university, I taught high school. There's a lot to being a mayor.
Thank you. Ted Shaneyfelt. I'm going to stick with Mr. Shaneyfelt, if that's okay. I know
Or
you
Dr.
brought in
Shaneyfelt,
another name in there. I think
Yes.
I'll stick with this one, but thank you.
Yes. Yeah, I'm an engineer, and I think that bringing that will help to bring efficiency, reduce the amount of spending while increasing what we get done, if we can do that. And not only just looking at what's the most efficient way, but also looking at people's rights and stuff in the meantime. One of the reasons I left Hughes, I had been on a particular, what we call OnStar, the first prototype for that. It's a thing for if your car hits a tree or something, the airbag blows, they'll be able to call police immediately or rescue squad. But I saw that there was also invasiveness in the way that that was going. And coming from understanding the technology and understanding what we need to limit on it and what we need to push on it to help the benefit of the people without going against them is best in their best interest. That's what I would bring to the table. And that's, I think, is important. Also, well, I'll leave it at that for now.
Thank you. And now, same question, Ms.
Thank you.
Verschuur.
Okay. My background, I forgot to mention in the intro, I've been on Hawaii Island for 14 years. I lived on Oahu for 15 years before that when I was serving on the USS Willamette. And for 4 years, then I was working in the community as I've done everything from being a documentary producer to being a substitute teacher, which I did for about 8 years. So I do have some experience with the state bureaucracy. I think we need freedom for our children, freedom for our people. We need to help the people. I'm with such a great group of people here. I would be happy to see any of you as mayor. And I think tough love is really important. I agree with what Wendell was saying about, I believe we need to balance the budget, first of all, so that we don't have debt left to our children. I believe that we do need to make cuts. We do need to have furloughs. And it's going to be hard for everybody, but it's just something that needs to happen, and I'm that tough love person.
Thank you very much for that answer. Now we're going to move on to the second question, and panelist Kristen Thario has the second question.
Thank you. The question today is that we know that climate change is an existential threat to humankind, and we also know that there is a very concrete risk building in areas that are susceptible to rising sea levels, flooding, erosion, and other climate change-related vulnerabilities. The county has some control over this with its infrastructure planning, as well as permitting for land use. What changes will you make as mayor to reduce the risk of climate-related damages to buildings, properties, to maintain the health and safety of people?
Mr. Greenwell, your answer first.
You know, for about 70 odd years, I've been familiar with a little bay in Kailua called Kamakahonu. We paddle out of it every other morning. I'm still doing this. I have not yet to see any change in the elevation of the ocean. That's not to say that it's not happening and that the situation isn't acute, because it is. But I think that more importantly, we need to concentrate on how we handle the planet and what our sense of responsibility is from an individual basis. I don't know that there's government can do very much of anything by and of itself. But getting people to understand to stop making messes out there is really what we need to do.
Thank you. Same question, Mr. Ruggles.
Yeah, I saw an interesting article by the United Nations, and they said the #1 solution for stopping climate change is to return land to the indigenous people. And so, obviously, if we can get the people back to the land, this is what's going to help with climate change. And so not just us, but the Hawaiians. I mean, ag, I think, should be fundamental on the Big Island. So we definitely need to get back to the land. But we also have to, like he says, stop making messes. I'm sorry, I hate to be rude, but I feel like the garbage dump in Hilo is like a giant dirty diaper for our children. And we shouldn't be trucking our garbage clear over to the new dirty diaper in Kona. If we educate the people, we can start separating it, and then we can hire people to separate it even further. And then, anyway, that's something we have to handle, and it'll help climate change. Thank you.
Thank you. And now, Ms. Kawano.
Yes, I call myself a forest conservationist because one of the things that we do on our land is we restore rainforests, and we get funding from the Natural Resource Conservation Service, which is under the Department of Agriculture. It's funding for all landowners, and it's there, and it's a mission of our country to restore our native plants, our native trees. And so I feel very excited about that. That's my small part. And I brought this to the Action Committee, the funding and such. And I want to continue to do these kinds of ideas, to implement all of this business of talk, these plans, because they're all already planned. Everything's there. We just got to start implementing. So I think, and then as far as the coastline, yes, the sea levels are rising. I've been in many places, and we do need to address that.
Thank you. Mr. Kaehuaya.
Yeah, on the climate change, I think on the world level and the United States, I think big business have to learn first how to cut back on their greediness of the things that they do. Hawaiians call it kapulu operation. Right here in Hawaii, as farmers, we got to bulldoze 5 acre, 10 acre, 20 acres. We got to bulldoze and knock down all the forests. I mean, Paneewa. Paneewa is known as a rainforest. When us farmers knock it down, we don't have the rain anymore. Or when people put dikes and everything at the hotels in Honolulu, stretch out the cement slab, they change the current. Climate change too. A lot of things that we can do in Hawaii, and not only picking up cans and all this stuff, but big things, not only mouth work. The mouth, wow. You take a hold of the situation and you do something. Thank you.
Thank you. And Mr. Bryant, your turn.
Thank you. Climate change includes doing something with the resources as they come out of use. And transfer stations are a good example. What are we doing to deal with that in such a way that our effect on the rest of the land, the ocean, whatever. Climate change, as far as I have to agree with Kelly, I personally have not seen it, but then I haven't been traveling to places where we can now watch documentaries like Greenland and Antarctica, where it's pretty evident that there are things happening down there, especially with the ocean. But I think we have to deal with the land that we're stuck on this island, and we need to be dealing with the land and how we treat the land especially with our refuse here. So that's the part of climate change per se I want to focus on. Yes.
Thank you. Dr. Shaneyfelt.
Yes. Regardless of how people view whether climate change is real or not, they still should consider the need to be responsible. The pollution is the issue. We see, for example, all these efforts to reduce the pollution. We don't want really HELCO to be burning fossil fuels to get our energy. But are we going to go to wind? Are we going to go to solar? We hear a lot of that. Problem with wind is it has these blades that can't be recycled, and they have to be thrown away after maybe 10 years or something like that. The windmill may not have even generated as much energy as it costs to produce. And solar, I have solar on my roof, and HELCO won't buy it from me because they say they have enough solar. But they want to put out solar farms, clear off good land that could be used for farming to put up these when we can't even sell what's on our roof. And I think that's wrong. There's other things, other options, maybe geothermal. People talk about pentane, but I can tell you about that if you ask.
Thank you. Ms. Verschuur.
Yes, climate change is one of many man-made problems, such as 5G, which I'm also against. I think we need to really look at what issues are happening on the earth. We need to ma'alama aina, aloha aina. I worked as a documentary, I worked on a national public PBS documentary in the Marshall Islands, so I saw firsthand what was happening there. It's a series of atolls. And I have a special place in my heart for the Micronesian people and the Marshall Islanders that have come here because of the American bombing of Bikini Atoll and things like that. So it is a huge issue. I will seek experts who know what to do about this situation. As far as protecting ourselves from 5G, there is technology now. There's a bracelet that can, I don't even know how it works, but I have people that have been telling me about all this kind of new technology. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Glendon.
Well, again, so this question is very dynamic, and it has many, how do you say, looks at it. So I break it down to something simple, because where are we? We're in Hawaii, right? We're complaining about all these things with climate change, and guess what it is? It's a part of the system that we live. The system that we once lived had no complaint, and that's the Hawaiian Kingdom. And that's all the cultural values instilled in the cultural practices of us as Hawaiian people. We had no complaints about climate or any severe change. It was harmony to where tomorrow is more fruitful than yesterday. So this consuming type of society we live in just consumes, where instilling our Hawaiian culture produces. Now we need to live in a surplus rather than a deficient state so that our people can truly live. So, and that would, in time, affect the world for climate change.
Thank you. Thank you all. And now we're going to have our third panelist ask his question.
Okay.
Here.
Aloha kako. This question is about housing and homelessness. Despite state, federal, and private assistance and the hard work of many, many people, homelessness continues to be a challenge on Hawaii Island. In addition to people experiencing homelessness, many thousands more households are right on the edge, barely making ends meet. What will you do as mayor to address homelessness and the scarcity of affordable housing?
We start with you, Mr. Ruggles.
Hey, that's a great question. And a community farm is one of the things I want to bring up. And on the community farm, we're going to put unemployed people. And they can work for the county helping. So now, the point I'm trying to make is that if we hire someone, we only pay them $80. If we wait until that homeless person gets so desperate he creates a crime, now it's $400 a day to put him in jail. So a stitch in time saves 9. Let's hire that person, let's put him to work. It's only $80, and guess what? This is gonna help the economy, it's gonna help small business, and it's gonna help keep us from torturing the mentally ill in jail, because before COVID, we were stacking them 5 deep down there in the county jail, guys. And that's something we gotta stop doing. That's one of the things I'm happy that COVID has done, is it's made us stop doing that. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Kawano, your turn to respond.
Yeah. So I wish I could straw you my idea, but it's already in many of the plans, community development plans for communities. Town centers need to become self-sufficient. We're living in a time where we can't depend on other governments but ourselves, really. And so I see each community, like let's just take Pahoa or Volcano, and you have a place where everybody's producing their own energy, and any extra energy goes to some sort of power site, power, whatever you want to call it. It would be greater if Helco would become a public utility, but that seems to be a long way off. And then affordable homes would be built. They would be sustainable homes. Renewable energy would be made. And the other thing is sustainable, making our own food. We have to go back to the way we used to be generations ago when we were self-sufficient. And we can do it. We have the people to do that.
Thank you. Mr. Kaehuaia.
You know, so much effort on this county. They've been talking about the homeless. How about getting these people before they become homeless, the young couples, husband and wife, 2 kids, straining, before they go down to the, before they go down, stop them first and concentrate on them first. The homeless problem is, to me, it's, I seen it happen. I've been a security guard downtown Hilo and in right here in Hilo. The problem is we got to concentrate on the young couples. The homeless, I talked to them down the airport. They're kind of lukewarm about the situation they're in. But we got to concentrate on the young couples before they become homeless. The homeless is a problem. But some of them, if you talk to them, especially you talk with Hope Services here in Hilo, you talk about to all the churches on the Big Island, talk to them. The politicians don't have no clout if you just see the homeless on your driving to work or coming back.
Thank you. Now, Mr. Bryant.
Sustainable housing is one of my solutions, and I think that the problem there lies with the county's regulations about housing. You've got to put hurricane latches on your roof and this, that, and everything else, and double wall construction. And we've evolved into a housing industry that makes it impossible for people to make or to build a house, much less, meet all the restrictions that are placed upon it. I feel that if we had changed that to maybe there's a variety of housing that could be planned and approved if they have to have approval, but it's the responsibility of the person that's going to live in the house, if they're building the house themselves, to build a house that they are happy with, not the county is happy with it. The county, There's a lot of people at the county that are just picayune, and I'm not in favor of that at all, so.
Thank you. Dr. Shaneyfelt, your response.
Thank you. Yeah, we need to remember that people are individuals, not just a member of a group. And this goes as well for the homeless. Some people, I would ask them, would you like my sandwich that I'm having for lunch? And they would just gobble it up. Another one would say, if I offered to buy them some food, I just wanted it for beer. I didn't really want your money for food. And so people have different situations that they're in. And some of them work hard to stay on the street because that's where they want to be. Some people, they have mental problems. And I think for those who want to make it out, there's a path that they might prefer where they could have some way that they could start doing things a little bit on their own. Maybe we don't have to make it difficult to build a structure that's going to meet county requirements. Some would love to live under a tarp that's as big as a lot of these politicians' signs that are out there, for real. If they have that in a bucket, a lot of people get started that way. And I've seen people in the 70s be reformed out from being hippies.
Thank you. Ms. Verschuur, your response.
I really appreciate what Paul talked about affordable housing. It is definitely a problem. There's too much government waste and regulation and price controls. We need to open that up and let supply and demand dictate how much our housing should cost and how much there should be. Hawaiian homelands is there's a huge source of land for people, for Hawaiians, and the fraud state has taken land away from the people, and many of those are the homeless. And I don't like to say homeless. Home is where the heart is. I believe that these people are houseless and they need to be given land so that they can put up their shack, put up their tarps. Why do we need to regulate? It needs to be a 2-bedroom, and you have to go through all this red tape to get your house built. It's ridiculous. I want to reform the building codes. I think we need to look at drug abuse and alcohol abuse, give affordable, free, maybe even free rehab.
Thank you. Mikey, your turn.
Hili, can I ask the question one more time?
Sure. Despite state and federal assistance and the hard work of many, many people, homelessness continues to be a challenge on Hawaii Island. In addition to people experiencing homelessness, many thousands more households are right on the edge, barely making ends meet. What will you do as mayor to address homelessness and the scarcity of affordable housing?
Well, the beautiful thing is I grew up as just a typical local person. So I've lived all these struggles, but I've also been successful as a father and as a businessman. So what I did was I designed a homeless shelter. I mentioned it on one of the previous forums, and it's about ready. And I want every single one of you to take a look at it, because what I put into it was my heart, and so did my children. And when you look at this thing, it's not just a box, which is what I see at the airport for these people. And that's the surface look of it, housing somebody that doesn't have a home. Well, we built one. It's 4 days from being completed, and this home has kuleana to function. And what I mean by that is I designed the house not just to shelter the person, but to provide 1,500 plants to feed the person in this home. And it will be a visual on a trailer by next week. But also, one key point is actually identifying the homeless people here, and that's the Hawaiian culture. And in depth, take a look at my website.
Thank you. Mr. Greenwell, your response.
Yeah, thank you. We've heard this whole panel, and wonderful ideas have come from it. I attend meetings held by the county on the issue, and there are also some very wonderful ideas that are being discussed in that venue. One of the things that I would like to say, and it's been displayed here, is that this is not a problem. This is an opportunity. It's an opportunity to show the rest of the planet the aloha spirit. And it's time we got on with it. One of the things that we need to do when we come up with a solution or how we embrace this opportunity is we've got to talk to the people who are involved directly. Okay? A lot of these people are sick. They have, addiction problems, and there are other issues that they face, but they need to be involved. And the other thing is, I think it's very important.
Thank you. We're going to have to stop there. We're going to return to Mr. Yoshioka for another question from the panel, and the first answer will be coming from Ms. Kawano.
Our island's economy has been devastated by this pandemic. What specifically would you do as mayor to help revive our economy?
Yes, I believe that, I think we're all in agreement that we need to diversify our economy. Tourism has been hit very hard and has shown its vulnerability. And so I believe agriculture is key to reviving this economy. First of all, in creating local markets like they've already been started, but really building upon them. I think, for me, I can't figure it all out, but I would definitely put a task force together and take a look at a lot of the ideas. But the main thing is that we become self-sufficient again. I'm back to that self-sufficient model of each town center. And there I see a lot of economies being built, being local. And I think that's what we want. That's what our plans say, many of our community development plans.
Thank you, Mr. Kaehuaya, your turn.
I think with this virus, I think we have to, depend on our medical people to make a decision and answer. Not government, not the mayor, not the governor, but medical people. Our lieutenant governor is fabulous, but he get pushed on the side. He should be the head of this. And on the big island, we just got to be cautious, but overcautious like Maui, Oahu, and Kauai. They're not listening to the governor. They're just going on because they know the situation with the small business people. They know business gotta continue, so start opening up. And most of all, the county should never close, never closed. They gotta help the people. But this disease is a virus. We need medical spokesperson, not the government. Thank you.
Mr. Bryant, are you good? Do you need the question?
No, I'm fine, thank you very much.
Okay, your response.
Fine. I have to agree with Yumi that the diversity has to include agriculture. But agriculture isn't a small farm business because the small farms cannot compete. They cannot compete for the market that we need. We have to have larger farms. That maybe means huis instead of just a small farmer by themselves. We tried to put together a sheep ranch hui. There were a lot of people that had sheep at the same time, but educating somebody in the way that we educated ourselves when we started with the sheep ranch was almost an impossible task. We had 7 or 8 different small ranches that we were trying to put together more sheep, more lambs for the market. And instead, what we ran up against was the fact that nobody wanted to put the time and the effort in to do the product that the restaurants wanted. So agriculture is important, but it isn't the only way.
Thank you. Dr. Shaneyfelt, your response.
Thank you. Yes, along with lines of other people saying, my PhD was actually on automating some of the agriculture that we can do that make it so it's more efficient. And I think that that's one of the things we can do. And in fact, not just agriculture, but it's a clean industry to do any kind of intellectual property development like software. What I started doing at the beginning of this year is I helped some of my students to start up their business, getting their first big contract in doing something like that. When COVID came, they ended up putting on a virtual science fair for the whole state. And that's the sort of thing that we can get our kids to come up and get jobs that are not polluting. They don't require shipping stuff in and out because we can't do that with the Jones Act and everything. You can't make money doing that. So we have to find things that are clean, that we can do, that make sense. And that's where I would go.
Thank you. Ms. Verschuur, your response?
Just really quickly to tag along with what Dr. Shaneyfelt was saying about the Jones Act, it's something that needs to be completely revised and taken away. It's been hurting our economy. And COVID, let me just start by saying ha'ole is no breath. COVID is taking away the breath of the people. The social distancing, the wearing of masks, it's a horrible thing for our people, and I believe that our problems can be solved through economic means. My father was a finance professor, and so I do have a lot of understanding about economics and the libertarian means of supply and demand. I've met twice with Raghu from the American Shopping Party. I fully endorse his plans for our economy to have a resurgence from the tourism dollar, basically taking 1% of the budget and giving it for farmers and small business owners and the people. AmericanShoppingParty.com has it listed.
Thank you. Mr. Glendon.
Can you refresh the question?
Of course. Our island's economy has been devastated by the pandemic. What specifically would you do as mayor to help revive our economy?
I want to start at all levels, but a big focus of ours should be the education system, because one of our biggest exports is our children, in search of things that we cannot provide for them in the system we live in today. So if we bring them in an education system to have a kuleana on the island, and also provide that kuleana, then they'll stay home, and we'll have a regenerative culture here. Now, reforestation, replanting, creating an island community where we depend within our borders is the main key here. We've proven through this COVID thing that if we rely on outside sources, a virus can stop our communication, our resources. So how vulnerable are we allowing us to be as a people? It's beyond me, and I've never lived that way. So if you want to endorse or help or provide my or your respects with me in this position, I'll just relive how I've lived my whole life with you, and it'll be fluid.
Mr. Greenwell.
Wendell, I appreciate what you said about science and that this is a medical issue, and I agree with you entirely. We're making it too much of a political and economic issue, and if we don't know the science behind this disease, and we don't, we're not going to be able to come up with a solution. We're going to get hit here in Hawaii probably worse than anybody because all the rest of the world will have gone through it. We haven't gone through it yet. It's still out there waiting for us, and as soon as we open our economy, because it's based on the visitor industry, and because our only real industry is here, what we look like, people come and look at us. They're going to bring it to us, and we're not going to be prepared because we really have done a wonderful job in keeping it out right now, but it's more powerful than we are by a long shot. And if we don't know the medicine behind this thing, we're not going to be able to control it at all. Thank you.
Mr. Ruggles.
Yeah, I believe because we're in a housing shortage, and it's been a chronic housing shortage, and I spoke earlier about Act 221 that gave $1.2 billion to high-tech companies to come to Hawaii, and they did great and prospered, but then quickly left because we have the highest cost of living in the country and the housing shortage. And so the number one thing we got to do is we can turn this housing shortage into a plus. We can relax restrictions, we can relax the handyman restriction, the contractor restriction, and we can turn a housing shortage into a housing boom. And if we support agriculture and we do, like I say, that money we spend on the high-tech guys that left, if we spend that on economic incentives for small business, and we don't give them the money, but we use that money so that they can hire labor, the unemployed, I believe construction will be the engine, and agriculture and small businesses will bring it all back. Thank you.
Thank you. And now our next panelist question. Kristen, it's back to you.
Thank you. This is about technology and broadband access. From education to business to healthcare. COVID-19 restrictions showed us how much can be done from home instead of in person. It also showed us how much of a gap there is between who has access to technology and broadband and those who do not. What is your plan to address the disparity?
Mr. Kaehuaiha, you're ready?
Say that again.
Access between those who have access to technology and broadband and those who do not.
Oh, broadband.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree with that. As a senior citizen, like many of us over here, anybody over 60 years old, we're gone from the system. And all these towers that coming up all over the island, they're going on private property. And we need more regulation by the local government of where you can put them and where you cannot put them. And too many of these towers are located too close to the residential area. I can't see those towers being anywhere but in a residential area, whether it be radiation or whatever it is. But that's a commercial venture on residential area. Should not be happening. Thank you.
And Mr. Bryant.
Broadband is really important for the education of our children. I see on the radio and on the television how the families that don't have broadband access or Wi-Fi access, their children are suffering during this home education situation. I feel that if we're going to do towers, the towers have to be combination towers where all the companies join together instead of using separate towers, for one thing. And I think that that way we could circle the island, in essence, circle the island and provide broadband that way instead of doing it with subterranean cable and things like that. So that's my feeling, is that broadband is one of the ways to get it, but we need to be smart about how we apply and distribute the broadband. I hope that that's a doable answer. Yeah.
Thank you. Dr. Shaneyfelt.
Yeah, if we're talking about wireless, then a lot of that is regulated so heavily at the federal level, there's very little that we can do at the county. But on the other hand, broadband doesn't necessarily mean only wireless. We also have fiber, and I think that developing fiber network is going to be real key to getting the kind of access throughout our island that we really would want to have. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Verschuur.
So it is, I definitely agree that there's a disparity. And I don't believe that universal broadband is an answer. I don't think that's the solution. 5G, I think, is a terrible thing. And I think we should be planting trees, no 5G. There are plenty of hotspots already on this island. AT&T has hotspots. You can get Wi-Fi at all of the public libraries. You know, you can buy a cell phone and you can have your cell phone be a hotspot for your laptop. And there are already many ways to get Wi-Fi. Getting it out to the houseless population, maybe we can make sure there are Wi-Fi is available at community centers and places where the houseless congregate. I know in Pahoa, by 7-Eleven is one of the spots, and maybe we could, you know, but having broadband.
Thank you. I'm going to have to cut you off there. How are you on the question? You good?
Oh, you can say it again.
From education to business to healthcare, COVID-19 restrictions showed us how much we can get done online instead of in person. It also showed us how much of a gap there is between who has access to technology and broadband and those who do not. What is your plan to address that disparity?
Well, it's already being addressed. And to me, I say that with regards to the people who don't have broadband. I think they're more connected in the way that we should be to the land, you know? But the connection as far as social today, where we need these things, we need social media or this broadband we speak of, is readily available. And to enhance it, staying at home is the biggest lesson all of our children have learned in this hard time. You get family time. And that's the real lessons we need to reinstill in our people. The education system that we tried to follow and we tried to adapt to when COVID hit us, it showed a disconnect amongst our families, because now our kids are at home and our parents are complaining that this and that or whatever the complaints were. But really, that's where the reconnection needs to be, is in the household. As far as broadband, I think it's fine the way it is, because we all stay connected, connecting the family.
Thank you. And Mr. Greenwell, your response.
Yeah, I'm getting the feeling that we're acting more as a team than competitors here, because I think we're all in agreement with most everything that's being said. But Wendell, again, there's a tower on Hualalai that flashes all night long with a big bright light, indicating to airplanes, I guess, that there's a mountain there that they already know about. And as a result of it, the nesting native birds up there have stopped nesting on that side of the mountain. I can't find them anymore, and I've seen them there for more than 70 years. I know they used to be there. They are not there, and I would say it's a direct result of that flashing light on that tower. We also send off a whole lot of smoke out to the airport every month. And I know that's not the issue, but that's the kind of thing that gets back to how we're going to take care of this planet. Instead of talking about rising sea level, let's just talk about how making messes is what's really ruining us. Thank you.
And Mr. Ruggles, your response.
Yes, thank you. I do believe that all children should have access to the internet, and that in the post-COVID, we're going to have to do a lot of learning from home. The only problem with 5G or towers is I don't know a lot about the technology, and I'm not sure how safe it is. But I know we do have satellite, which is what I have, and I'm hoping to get fiber optic. I have to run my own conduit, 900 feet up to my house. But once I do, I can have fiber optic, which is what I'm hoping for. So let's get the kids connected, but let's not sacrifice safety in order to do it, because the internet's the future, and that's how to keep our roads clearer, and we definitely want to help the kids get connected. Thank you.
Ms. Kawano.
Yes, I've noticed since COVID-19, there's a lot more health care appointments, mental health care appointments are being done by the internet. I'm a caregiver for my husband, who's a veteran of the 82nd Airborne Persian Gulf War, and it's become a way that the VA is operating now, and many of the mental health clinics are now doing this. So it's pertinent that we have the best internet possible. As an educator, of course, a lot of our students didn't get that education because they lack internet. And I know even where I'm at in Volcano, we don't have very good internet, even with Wi-Fi. So it was on the Puna the Puna plan, free internet for all in Puna, and I really think it should be for the whole island. How? Well, we'll let the experts fill that one out. So that's pretty much it.
Thank you. And now we're going to have another question from Ilihia, and that's going to be answered first by Paul Bryant.
This question is about transportation and transit. The challenges of getting people around and across a 4,028 square mile island are great. The county builds and maintains roads and runs the Heleon bus system, but there's a lot of work left to do. What is your vision for transportation on our island, and how do you plan to deliver it?
First off, if we're going to depend upon Heleon, then they got to stop and pick up people instead of driving by them. I think the operation of Heleon is poor. There's another word before poor that I can't use at the moment. But to try to combat the traffic on our island, we also need to have quality roads. And half of our roads are county and half of them are state. And the state seems to be a little bit of a laggard in taking care of their responsibilities. It's one of the things that I felt that a mayor should have a representative over on Oahu who kind of takes a sharp stick and pokes people over there constantly about doing things that our county, which is it is a motor for the tourism in a sense, because we've not only got the mountain, but we've also got the volcanoes. So we need to have the state working with us to do better transportation opportunities.
Thank you. Dr. Shaneyfelt, your response.
Yes, thank you. I think that Haleon is something that, given the COVID situation right now, is probably not the best thing to be investing more into at the moment, because mass transit is one of the ways that a lot of the close contacts occur between people who are not related, never saw each other, and spread it very quickly. Roads, on the other hand, are something that we really should be focusing more and more of our money into right now, which I can notice every time I have something fragile I want to take, maybe from Kona. I have to pick something up and bring it home that's glass. And I get to Hilo and certain roads, I thought this is a good road. And it's like, I'm going to break my new shower door or something like that, or a solar panel that I'm taking to my son's house. These things, you recognize the roads are in a lot worse shape when you start taking stuff across, and it's going to cost people money, and they're going to waste things if things get broken on these roads because they're not in good shape.
Thank you. Ms. Verschuur, you have 1 minute to
could you
respond?
please repeat the question? This will be for me and Mikey.
Sure.
Sure. The challenges of getting people around and across a 4,028 square mile island are great. The county builds and maintains roads and runs the Heleon bus system, but there's a lot of work left to do. What is your vision for transportation on the island, and how do you plan to deliver it?
Okay, capital improvement projects are very important, even though I do have a lot of concern about the dependency we have on the federal government to help us with roads and things like that. It ends up being their priorities rather than our priorities. So transportation is key, roads are key. I need to have a good department head I can work with on the in the transportation department. And as far as the Heleon bus, it's a great service, especially for our houseless population and people who don't have cars or the resources to drive across the island. You know, it is a program that is in debt right now. You know, what we bring in, $2 per person, nowhere nearly covers the budget for what it's costing our government, our local government. So we really need to look at this and figure out a way to keep it going and maybe take some cuts in some other areas and make it more efficient. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Glendon.
Okay, so this is something that's very simply solved. Very simply solved. You take the island, it's an island. It's not that big, okay? You picture it as an aquarium. How much fish can fit in this aquarium? Oh, you keep putting more fish in. The tactic we're using is let's try and clarify the water more by putting more fish, but we just clean the water. It doesn't work that way. Over here, we're on an island, so we keep adding cars. We just keep adding. Look at Honolulu, all the traffic situations that they're in, and the solutions that are just baffling our minds that they took approach to with the rail. Now, if we quality over quantity our travel as a people, you know, why is somebody in Hilo working in Kona? And not us as a county providing a kuleana for them in Hilo where it's closer. They don't have to travel so far. Make our community self-sufficient, because in the Hawaiian culture, you only leave your ahupua'a to go get something that your ahupua'a cannot produce because the other ahupua'a has the climate to produce that need. But you don't travel all over the island. You stay home.
Thank you. Now, Mr. Greenwell.
Very good points. Very good. I'd like to go to something that, Paul, that you brought up, and that is the county and state highway system. On other states in this country, you have a state highway system because you have interlocking states, et cetera. Over here in this county, all the roads are on one island and they should be under one jurisdiction. There should not be county and state highway system. That allows us to have one process. We can take care of the roads in the same way each time. You don't have county roads, state roads, and people passing off responsibility for each. The other thing is, as far as the buses are concerned, it's always been, well, there are not enough people riding the buses to justify having them. Well, that's because you don't have enough buses to justify using them. So, you know, perfect the system and people will start using it. But that's only part of it. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Ruggles.
I'd have to agree with Mr. Greenwell that the county should be in control of the roads in the county. I do believe because of this COVID outbreak, and I just read something from economists that seem to know what they're doing. They said they don't think tourism is going to bounce back till 2030. So I believe until we can get my trickle-up economics going, there's going to be a lot more people needing to ride the bus. So I think we need to beef up the bus system. At least twice as many, because I think we're going to have twice as many people riding it now, because economic downturn is coming, and so we should start putting things in place that's going to help the most vulnerable. Thank you.
Thank you. Now back to this side. Ms. Kawano.
Okay. I've been on the Puna Action Committee. I was chair of the road connectivity and been working on it for a few years, and I have felt that the county was not willing to open up emergency road access, even during, right as the lava was flowing in 2018. Me and the other county councilwoman, Eileen O'Hara, we weren't able to convince them to open up. So many people lost their livestock and so many of their things. So yeah, county roads should be taken care of by the county. There's a lot of preferential treatment in that. A lot of the subdivisions are in lawsuits and such because they can't get their roads taken care of. So these are things that, and mass transit, we need to look at biodiesel and all kinds of renewable energy sources.
Thank you.
You know, the transportation on this island been a disaster for the past 20 years. What we need is local transportation in each section, like Puna, Kohala, Waimea, and Hilo, especially Hilo, with smaller buses. But the key point of this is get a good manager with a background, not somebody from a former tour company running this bus system, because this is huge. If California can run the Greyhound from San Diego all the way up to Seattle, what's the problem? The problem Hawaii have, they want to control, the government want to control the system. You cannot control the system. Bring somebody in and privatize the damn thing, period.
Thank you. And now we're back to the panelist question, Miles Yoshioka, and this will be answered first by Dr. Shaneyfelt.
An increased number of local residents will be moving to the mainland in search of better paying jobs and career opportunities, according to some economists. Many of our children go away to college with no intent of returning. What will you do to help develop and support new industries and businesses to create good paying career opportunities for our island residents?
Thank you. I've done that myself. I've gone to the mainland because there wasn't really much here. And I saw what had happened in San Diego. A couple of professors, Jacobs and Viterbi, had started up a little telecommunications company called Linkabit. It ended up dividing, making another couple of companies and so forth. There's over 100 companies now that do telecommunications in the Sereno Valley area of San Diego. And at that point, I decided, we need to do something similar to that here in Hilo, because that's the kind of stuff that we could do that's not going to pollute our environment. It's not going to require us to do shipping in order to get work done. And so I took $1 million. I took $1 million, gave up $1 million worth of salary in order to come here from Honolulu, where I was last working before starting to teach at the university. Helped get our students to understand, to learn the skills. And next we got to get some to start their companies here. So like at the beginning of this year, I'd actually, like I said, started working with some of our students to develop their companies.
Thank you. And now, Ms. Verschuur, your answer.
Brain drain is a huge problem, definitely. Seeing our keiki go, seeing that we don't have enough doctors and nurses here, it is, and there's a problem with the teacher system. It's, I think we need to revamp our whole economy, basically. Tourism should not be the #1 economy. It should be agriculture. We should start teaching children from the very beginning when they're in elementary school to get their hands in the lepo, to love the land, to take care of it, to see the seeds growing and to harvest the food, to have the elementary school cafeterias serving the food that's grown by the keiki. Community gardens. There are so many things that we can do to let the people remain here in Hawaii. And now with COVID, all this technology working at home is something that we can also look at. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Glendon.
This is a cool topic for me, because we're all as a people coming together already. You see how we've been functioning throughout this COVID. People produce what they can at home, and others purchase it. Now, this cycle that we're already doing as a people just needs to be enhanced. Live within our boundaries. We produce things, and then our education system brings up a whole group of children and aim them towards one of our needs, how to produce it. Because what do we bring in? Nearly 90% of imports. So that's where all our money is going. Now, if we produce it here and we raise our children educated in knowledge to do these things as an adult, then they stay home. Because we're spending most of our money in corporations. It's going nowhere for our community. It's only going out. So now if we give a design cycle of sustainability as a business, as a community, everything will stay here, and so can our babies. They can stay home.
Thank you. Mr. Greenwell.
Years ago, there was a organization here in the islands called the Hawaii Sugar Planters Association, and I know that sugar brings up some mixed memories and whatnot, but Hawaii Sugar Planters Association was the most highly respected agricultural research organization on the face of the planet. And people came from all over the world to study tropical agriculture. The technology of sugar and everything that's done in sugar worldwide right now came from the Hawaii Sugar Planters Association, and likewise the pineapple people did the same thing. What this is leading to is we need to reintroduce technology, whether it's in agriculture or everything else. We're out here in the middle of the Pacific in an isolated situation. People will come to us. Our brains will stay here if we do that, and we will become a world leader in technology. So let's get on that track instead of visitor industry.
Thank you. Mr. Ruggles, your response.
Yeah, I'd like to bring up the reason, at least what I believe is the reason we've had a chronic housing shortage for the last 50 years. My dad was in law enforcement for over 40 years, and he said, doesn't take brains to know who did it, just follow the money. Who profits from a housing shortage? It's the banks and the rich people. Who profit from a housing boom? It's the first-time owners and the renters. And so it's time for us to stop supporting the people that don't need it, basically the people of privilege, and start supporting the people that do. I believe that's the government's #1 job, protect the most vulnerable. And it needs to be done now more than ever, because there's going to be more vulnerable coming. We're heading for a bad depression. So let's work on the housing. I think that's the #1 problem. Thank you.
And Ms. Kawano, your response.
Yes. I believe the Hawaii Island is an entrepreneur dream. I heard about this place many years ago, and I came here many years ago. And I still believe it's an entrepreneur dream. We can redefine tourism. Ecotourism can be predominantly the tourism that we attract, which means people that want to give back. They want to take care of the land. They want to malama the aina. I believe government's job is to link grassroots together, which we were going to do April, I believe, 19th and 20th. The Puna was, we were going to have a big symposium and bring all the grassroots together and figure out how we're going to divvy out this FEMA money. We do have the monies to make this one of the most amazing places to live. And so we have the ingenuity right here.
Thank you, Mr.
Miles, can I have the question again a little closer to the mic, please?
Of course. An increased number of local residents will be moving to the mainland in search of better paying jobs and career opportunities, according to some economists. Many of our children will go away to college with no intent of returning. What will you do to develop and support new industries and businesses to create good-paying career opportunities for our island residents?
Okay, this county been having a roadblock for new ventures coming in here, new corporation coming in here. They want to keep it close to the old circuit, but after a while, there's not enough job for our young people. And I agree with the kids, even my grandkids, they got the mainland, they ain't coming back here because there's no opportunity. But you have to bring the industry to the big island, and don't block them. Don't stop them from developing. Don't stop them from expanding. Even our local business here, they get so much problems with our county public works to get past things done. Give them the break, especially our local business guys. Give them the break. Contractors, all them. Don't delay them and stop them. We start from that basis and work out.
Thank you, Mr. Bryant.
I have to follow up on Wendell's idea. The regulations that prevent us from really assisting new business here is really one of the big problems that we face. And there's a lot of this cronyism that goes on that really hampers new business in the same way. If you're trying to get a connection, they're hard won. Those connections are hard won, and And then they don't always last. You get one contract and then the next year it's gone and you're gone too. So I think that probably re-establishing or refiguring our business plans and how the company allows things, or not the company, the county allows businesses to begin and thrive is really the important thing, you know. So we need to adjust that.
Okay, thank you. Kristen, we're going to go back to you for the final panelist question. And Ms. Verschuur, you're the first to answer.
This question is regarding healthcare and access to critical healthcare services. Delivering quality healthcare to a community spread over such a large area is a challenge, even without the ongoing shortage of doctors and other health professionals. What will you and the county do under your leadership to make sure the people can access the healthcare that they need?
Okay, that's a big question. I do believe that private healthcare is the best way of doing this, not public or government healthcare. I think that, you know, this Quest and those programs that we do have work. I think we do have one of the best public healthcare programs in the country. But there's always room for improvement, and I think what's happening with the insurance and the pharmaceutical industries are really negative. Yeah, we need to basically get rid of that monopoly on medications and insurance so that supply and demand can provide what's needed for the people. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Glendon, your response.
Well, healthcare should be free for everyone. Everyone should be healthy and taken care of by your parent corporation, which is considered a county. That's how you take care of people. Now, the problem with healthcare is, why do we need so much of it? You know, people are moving here retired. Unfortunately, many of them are unhealthy and require high levels of healthcare. And then the people and the children we're upbringing with unhealthy influence and imported goods create an unhealthy body that eventually will need a lot of health care. So now we simplify our lives and we live healthy. We produce in-house goods that we have an origin to where it came from. Right now we order imports and we don't know where it's made. We don't know the regulations and what's put into these products, but we intake, you know, it's part of what we intake, and then we end up unhealthy for some reason. It's unexplained. So now with healthcare, if everybody's provided with supplemented free healthcare with a healthy lifestyle, it'll be alleviated.
Mr. Greenwell.
Hopefully in a few months we'll have a new administration in Washington and there'll be national health care. That'll help us immensely, and it's absolutely critical that that happen. From our standpoint, however, I'd like to go back to the concept of the Hawaii Sugar Planters Association and technology. What this place needs, if we're going to be moving away from the visitor industry as our only source of income, is to have a world-class tropical health center developed here on the island, where people come from all over the planet to study tropical diseases and other tropical issues that are going to impact the rest of the world. We have to stop looking only at ourselves and poor us and the woes that we're facing. We have to become a world leader. We've got the wherewithal. We will keep our brains here to do it, and we will expand out of this place dramatically. Thank you.
Mr. Ruggles, your response?
Yeah, I still got friends from the college, and they invite me to meetings that are going on there, and I happened to go see one with about 150 doctors showed up, and they explained why not only are we 50% undermanned in doctors, but over 80% of our doctors currently that we have are getting ready to retire. And the only reason they haven't retired is they realize we're in such a bad position. So why are we in this position? We have the highest cost of living in the country. And because of insurance companies taking all the profit from the doctors, doctors can't afford to live here on the Big Island. And that's why the mental health issue is so critical and why we're 50% understaffed with physicians. So I feel like the prudent thing for the county to do now would be to provide economic incentives for doctors and mental health workers. until we can get this housing shortage fixed and the economy going, and we can actually get these people wanting to come live here. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Kawano?
Yes, this is a concern of mine. The shortage is due to many things. It's a critical shortage of doctors, specifically psychiatrists, and many people have to leave the island. And so, like I said, the Wi-Fi, that's mandatory. It's got to be island-wide, because that's one way for people to be able to see a doctor or a healthcare practitioner. We have a myriad of healing treatments here, which is diverse, and I think that that's something that we should look at. A lot of people come from all over the world for healing here, especially the Hawaiian healing. And so, and yes, I do believe we need to give incentives to keep people here, just as teachers come and go, doctors come and go, and there needs to be some way of keeping them here, and we need to have a conversation about that.
Thank you.
I can say one thing. With us in the military, or veterans out of the military, we get pretty close to everything we need in veterans. Because the veterans provide a lot of healthcare opportunities. But a lot of the people, if you're not working, then you got to be a senior citizen. And you know, there's a lot of opportunities to get health care. One of the biggest things, you can go to the big clinic. They can help you. Even if you don't have insurance, they'll help you. Start with them. Get a lot of other organizations that can help you with health care. Nobody should be without health care. Thank you.
Mr. Bryant.
When I first came to the islands 30 years ago, Catholic Charities was running a mobile dental clinic, and that was like a really good idea, and I thought, wow, this is fantastic. But they had one van, 2 dentists, and some dental help, and that was it, and it never got beyond that. But this is really important, that we need to make mobile health available to people, because some people just can't get out from where they are because we've got bad transportation. It all comes down to Helion doesn't serve the community, and you know, people need to be accessible to medical assistance, and that's one of the ways to do it, make it mobile.
Thank you. And Dr. Shaneyfelt?
Yeah, I like what Paul is just saying about having something mobile to go around for certain things that we have local to our island. In fact, probably pushing everything to the federal government is not really necessarily the best idea, because we have things like, you know, rat lungworm here that we have to deal with. People in the mainland that making these policies have no idea how it's going to affect us. And so I think these kind of things really should be more, you know, county level than federal level. And in that sense, I also agree with Lahi about who should be paying for this. It shouldn't be, you know, forced farther and farther away from us, but it'd be more and more close to home when we're paying for this. And in fact, since we've gotten universal health care, I've helped somebody who was, you know, going to a situation where they, through some technicality, were not going to get the coverage. And I said, well, can we do like we used to do and pay cash and get half the price? Because it's always been that way. You go to a hospital, if you offer to pay cash, they would give you half the price that they charge insurance companies, because insurance companies are putting a layer of waste.
I will have to stop you at that point. But take a deep breath, everyone. We finished part 1. So thank you so much. And thank you for staying on time, because it's a lot we want to get through. So we're going to head into part 2. And this means that each round is going to consist of a candidate asking another candidate a question, and until each candidate had the opportunity. So like we did today, you know, earlier, just everyone has an opportunity. You're going to have 1 minute to respond. The question can't go longer than 30 seconds. So once the round has been completed, the panelists will have 5 minutes to redirect questions to any of the candidates for further response. Each candidate, again, will have 30 seconds to respond to the panelists. So 30 seconds for a candidate to ask another candidate. That candidate then has a minute. Panelists can then ask a follow-up question, should they desire to do that. And your answer, if they direct it to you, then you have 30 seconds to respond. So We will start with Mike Glendon. We're going to start with you. Please direct who you want to ask the question to.
Who wants it? Who wants it? Well, let's see. Sula Kelly. Sula Kelly. One of the old timers in our community. The most important thing to me in our list is our Hawaiian culture. And now, with that being said, it's something that I feel and many of our people feel needs to be revived, reestablished, and relived. What, in your experience, living on the island, would be your plan of attack to reinstill in our Hawaiian culture?
I think the most important thing, and I feel extremely strongly about this, is that we build the TMT. The TMT, to me, is the extension of what is really Hawaiian in the olden days. It was about discovery. It is the hokulea of the heavens. We discovered the planet with the hokulea, sailing on the oceans. We now need to sail in the heavens. The problem with the TMT up to this point, is that they did not respect the venue within which they were sailing. Once that is cleaned up, the Hawaiian community will recognize it as the essence of the culture of this place, as I and many of my friends from years ago that looked in the heavens and saw the future up there and wondered about it. We know pretty much what the Hawaiian community thought hundreds of years ago as they set sail. It was the same excitement.
Thank you, Mr. Greenwell. And now that you were the first to be asked, you can now ask any candidate a question.
Well, I think I'd like to send it to you, Mike. What is your opinion as the difference between legalized marijuana and decriminalized marijuana?
In my opinion, if something was legal, then you'd be able to grow it like carrots. Carrots are legal. Nobody tells you how to grow your carrots, how many you can grow, or how to harvest them. That would be legal. Hawaii grows the best agricultural products in the world, whether it's coffee, papaya, cannabis, hemp. Everybody loves our stuff, as they should, because we grow the best in the world. I could see hemp and cannabis being cash crops for local farmers. As everybody knows, Paul knows, local farmers can't make it without a cash crop. Hemp used to be what we paid our taxes with. So hemp has always been known as a useful product, and it's legal federally now. Why don't we open it up for the Big Island? Thank you.
Well, it just so happens now we're going clockwise again, but you can ask anybody.
I'd like to ask Mikey. I was very excited with what he said in the last debate we did about using all Big Island materials to build homes. And I believe the county should allow that kind of stuff, because that's really exciting to me. And so my question to you is this home you were just talking about, what materials did you use and how much money did you have to put into it?
Okay, how long do I have?
A minute.
So after a minute, look at my website. So you start with bamboo, locally grown, very quick, right? You look at the next invasive problem, because you want to attack more problems than just one. Albizia, huge, it grows fast. It seems it's interpreted as weak, but it falls over at almost 200 feet. So how strong does it have to be to hold 8 feet? Now this lumber is very useful. So now the home is constructed for less than $1,000. Okay, that's the home, and that's why I want to put a little bit of money into the home, because you don't go to your house to live your whole life. That's just where you rest. Now around the house is the plant system: aquaponics, hydroponics, aquaculture, and agriculture. Now this I put $2,000 into, because that's the fruit of the house, feeding it. Now for $3,000, you have a complete setup that produces 1,500 plants for one occupant.
Thank you. And now, Ms. Kawano, you get to ask a question.
I think I'd like to ask Mike Ruggles. I've pondered often about the difference between medicinal use of marijuana and the legalizing of marijuana. And there's a lot of contradiction and hypocrisy in it. We all know that, and with the federal government too, producing it. And if it's legalized, my concern is, will it hurt a lot of we know there's a cash economy here on this island of people living, growing, selling, helping people with the need of it. And if it becomes legal, will there be the small growers versus the large corporations like Monsanto and such coming in here and making this place? Because as Hawaii agriculture...
Okay, I'm gonna have to stop you there so you can answer that part of the question.
Absolutely. I was just watching a special by some guy named Verschuur, and he's talking about how dispensaries are opening across the country and how they're being controlled, like you say, by big corporations, and they're not diversifying. In fact, in 37 states, apparently, there's only one black owner of a dispensary. So this kind of shows you where big money is coming from. I personally don't believe if we legalized it that it would hurt the small farmer. I also believe that we should at least see, currently in our county, medical patients can't trade amongst themselves or sell to the dispensaries. In my opinion, that's racketeering, because you either enforce federal law on everybody or nobody. That's how it works. And so we're trying to fix that, and we'll see what we can do. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. You have 30 seconds to ask anyone a question.
I'm going to pick on Mike. Hey, Mike, you know, all of us put our banners at Prince Koyo. I put a banner up there. Then I see Mike's banner attached to my post without even asking me. So a lot of the Hawaiians in Punta and Kilcar, they said, well, we're going to take that guy's sign down. I said, he's a friend. He's a friend. How can you not ask me that you want to put him up?
Okay, that's the question.
Well, I'm proud to bring up that one of the people on my campaign, Linda Fay, is a black belt in signs. And I let her do it, and she knows how to do it. She goes around, and I will apologize because she does ask people. But when she sees signs in areas, like she's noticed that there's many signs where just county, it's county land, so only county workers had signs. And so she would put signs there. So I do apologize that if she did that, but I'm very proud of Linda Fay. Like I say, black belt in signs. I've learned a lot from her. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Bryant, you have a question for anyone?
Dr. Shaneyfelt, actually, it seems to me that his expertise in so many parts of engineering, et cetera, I think that he probably has more ideas that he could explain out to us and I'll give him the rest of my 30 seconds here to go on and work your month. Go.
On what question?
Oh, that's it. Find out something that you have felt strongly about that we need to know about.
Non-technical.
Yeah.
Basically, what I would feel strongly about is when we had the problem with Leilani, I grew up in Leilani Estates, we had ideas about how we would handle it if there was lava coming, how we would evacuate, and we didn't plan that somebody would tell us, you can't go in and do this kind of stuff. Now, I wasn't living in Leilani this time, but I've seen people there that they weren't allowed to go back and help their animals. Mm-hmm. They couldn't, so I knew somebody who snuck up on a moped because he had to go around the roadblocks to feed his animals once a day. But all those times he could have been taking truckloads of his stuff that he used to make a living. He's a contractor. He needed to build houses and stuff. How's he going to do it without all his equipment? And he lost all that stuff. But my father used to tell me in Kapoho, People dismantled their houses. They took the windows off because they had already taken everything out, and they took the pictures for insurance because they were allowed to be there.
Thank you, and now you get the opportunity to ask a question.
Okay, I'll ask the same thing for.
Well, actually, my biggest problem in agriculture is the tax base that we have here on the island. When I changed from pasture to cropland, never dawned on me that there was going to be a different tax evaluation of my property. And then this woman called me up and said, you know, we have to come and inspect your property. And I said, well, go ahead. And she brings out this photograph and she said, you don't have any sheep on your property anymore. And she shows me this sky photograph. And I said, no, I haven't had them for 4 years. And she said, well, your tax base is different then. And I said, why? It's agriculture. And she goes, no. She said, when you're doing crops, it goes from $420 an acre evaluation to $4,000 an acre. What kind of BS is that, you know? And I was very, very upset. So we need to do something about that inequality before we can bring agriculture back.
And now you get the final question for another candidate, Ms. Verschuur.
Okay, I'd like to hear more from Wendell. I'm curious what your feelings are about the Airbnb and the short-term vacation rental issue. The Airbnb and short-term vacation rental issue. I believe that if you own a house, you should be able to do whatever you want with it. If you want to rent out a room, rent the house out and go live at your mother's for that time so you can make some money. I think our people need ways to make money, and I'd like to hear what your thoughts are, Yamana'o.
Oh, yeah. To me, the restriction that these county workers put on a lot of the regular guys building a home, like especially in Puna side, you know, they're building a home for their family. You know, they just want to put something up for their family. And you know what really kills me is that this state of Hawaii for the last 50 years, since I don't know when, they restrict mobile homes coming down here. California is choked with them. Why can't you bring them down here? Well, Contractor Association, Matson, and all these guys, that would be fabulous for the outlying areas like the area you're talking about. As mayor, I'm going to find out what's cooking with that. You know, if you build a house and it's safe for you and your family, why not? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, candidates, for asking everyone a question. Mr. Ruggles, good job on all of those questions.
Oh, thank you.
And now we're going to move on to the panelists who get to redirect the question. We're going to start now with Ilihia.
Aloha. I'd actually like to hear from you, Lahi, the answer to the question you just asked. What are your feelings on Airbnb and short-term vacation rentals?
Okay, I think I sort of answered it when I asked the question. I believe that if you own a home, you should be able to do whatever you want with it, as long as you're not disturbing your neighbors. I think here on the Big Island, we operate with aloha. We're respectful, and I would expect that from everyone who wants to do such business out of their home. I personally have rented my home whenever I go to the mainland or on a trip for 3 weeks or more. I always, people get house sitters. I rent it out because it pays for my trip. So I would hate to see that go away.
Thank you. And a reminder, you have a 30-second response. So the next question will come from panelists Mike Yoshioka.
What else?
Miles Yoshioka.
No problem. I appreciate this opportunity to get to know, all of you a lot better. And, in my list of questions, and it won't be referring to a question that was asked, but just hearing what you folks had to say kind of got me going. And this one is for Paul. A multi-million-dollar, multi-department EnerGov software system designed to streamline the planning and building permit process was started in 2016 by the county, but the system is still not up and running. What are your plans to expedite the building process system?
Good question. I think we're putting too much dependency on the computerization of things, whereas I have to tell you, when I came and built my house, I was told there was a shortcut, and here's the shortcut. I went in, took my papers. She said it's going to be a week. I went back a week later, and she said, oh, the guy's sick. It'll be another week. And I said, no, go take the guy over in the front that's the department head and bring him over. He came over. 3 hours later, I had my papers, and I started to build my house the next day.
And you reached your time.
And I reached my time,
So-
but 1 week, that's all it took me. So.
Kristen, you get the next question.
I would like to bring it back and hear more about preserving the Hawaiian culture if we could, because I really think that that's something very special and very important that needs to happen. Wendell, if you could give me your thoughts on that.
What?
Preserving the Hawaiian culture. It was asked earlier by Mikey.
Well, listen, I'm Hawaiian. And
Thank
I just want to make sure everybody, if you're not Hawaiian, don't speak for us. That's one thing. And I know the Greenwell family with, Sherwood Greenwell. That guy taught me a lot. Because when I came here, I hooked up with Sherwood because he was a county council. I got familiar with the Kona side of the Hawaiian culture through Sherwood Greenwell. But you know what? I know what the Hawaiians doing up in the mountain. I know what the Hawaiians doing all over the place. They just want to be like the other natives. They just want to be recognized and have a voice.
Thank you for your voice on that. And we're going to go back to you, Ilihia, for another question. And again, thank you for your cooperation. It's a 30-second response, but mahalo. Your
Okay,
question.
and we're still redirecting the questions
Yes,
from earlier.
yes.
Okay. All right. Kalamai, let me just get myself together here. Okay, I have a somewhat adaptation of a question that Mr. Kaehu asked about campaign signage. And I think I will direct that to...
I'll take one. It's the next group. Should be asking the next group about that.
Right. Mr. Ruggles, if you don't mind.
Yes, sir.
If you could give us your thoughts on campaign signage. Is it too much? Not enough? Just give us your thoughts on that, please.
It's interesting, the campaign signs. I feel like it could be too much, but not so much on this year because with the COVID, people haven't been able to get out. They haven't been able to campaign. You know, you can't, like, we couldn't even get a complete live debate here. So I think they should be allowed to do the signs, but a bit much. I would agree, yes, thank you.
So now we're going to bring it back to the candidates and start another candidate-to-candidate debate, beginning with Mr. Greenwell. You can ask a question of another candidate.
Can I ask somebody of the panel? I kind of want to continue on with the idea of the culture thing, and since Sherwood was a friend of yours and you knew him well and he knew you well, tell me a little bit more about the olden culture of that era so that we can understand it a little better.
Is that directed to Wendell?
Yeah.
So he's asking
Say
you
the question again.
I'd like you, not so much of a question, but I'd like you to speak of that era back then. That was in the 50s and 60s, a very important part in the development of this place. And I'd like you to fill the panel in a little bit further on what we used to look like.
You mean during the campaign?
Well, I mean just during your earlier years living here. I mean, I am using that myself because I think it's very important that we understand those 50s and 60s when the place changed.
When Sherwood was around, the old timers, Bob Yamada, Hisioka from Kohala, all these guys didn't have this campaign funding, and they didn't walk on each other. You know, they respected each other, and they didn't mouth off about, I got more money than you to campaign against you. Today's world, today's campaign, the mayor campaign, I don't want to say it, but I'm going to say it. If it wasn't for this virus, stay at home by the governor, all the smaller candidates don't stand a chance We cannot rent Sangha Hall. We cannot rent Luau House. We cannot rent the big places. We'd be out in the cold. But this, giving all of us a darn good chance to be voiced over. Like the Chamber of Commerce was beautiful to get an invitation from the Chamber, from Waimea Association, from Naleo. I ran for governor 2.5 years ago. I never get one invitation from Naleo. They got.
Well, we're here, but with Big Island Pulse, back into this studio, and we're going to go one more time. So if you don't have your question, think of it. We're going to go clockwise unless you ask a question. So, Mr. Ruggles, your question to another candidate.
Yes, I would like to tap Ted, because I've had a lot of residents ask me about the rattling. And one of the biggest questions is, when a slug rolls across a piece of lettuce, can you wash that off? Or do you got to throw that piece of lettuce away?
Well, I can only tell you what I do. At our house, we've been planting trees. I have like 100 different kind of trees. And now we've started farming more corn and stuff like that for our family. So we've been eating corn this week that we've harvested. For lettuce, we grow that, or yamatoi is what we usually have been growing. And what we'll do is we'll wash it and then we'll steam it or cook it or something, because we don't really trust, even if you inspect it well and maybe you miss something, just to be safe. And that's all we do.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. And now, Ms. Kawano, do you have a question for another candidate? You have 25 seconds.
Okay, I was wondering, I would ask, I don't know who to ask.
I'll take it.
Mikey, I guess, or it could even be Lahi, but I was wondering if you're a member of the Hawaiian sovereignty movement, which I'm not sure if you are or not, I'm not sure, or is it, I'm not exactly sure, but if you are.
What's the question?
The question is, when you swear allegiance to protect the United States Constitution and the citizens of the United States, do you feel there could be a conflict?
And this goes to Mikey Glendon?
Mikey, either one.
I'm happy to answer if you don't want to.
No, I'll take it. Is it for me?
Yeah, I don't know.
I'll gladly take that one.
Yeah, I don't know where you stand.
Wish I had more than a minute. But no, the conflict here is that this is Hawaii, and this is where Hawaiians are from, right? And we're being forced into a system, an American system, that had it been cool and worked, we probably wouldn't have had a problem with it, but it's been proven that it doesn't work, right? So when you say my allegiance to sovereignty, it's sovereignty of an island, and every single person in it, Hawaiian or not. Like our food sovereignty, our self-sustainability. Sovereignty is really misconstrued as Hawaiians, non-Hawaiians. That's wrong. In Hawaiian culture, everybody's embraced. I'll hold every single one of your hands in prayer, because that's what our culture does. Now, when you want to ask me if I stand at Ku'e as a Hawaiian, all the time, because it's been proven that our culture works and it's sustainable. And we should be, through everybody, the example that the world follows to solve all problems. So I am Hawaii.
Mr. Ka'ehu'aia, do you have a question for a candidate?
Nope.
I'll take it.
Okay, we'll keep going this way. Mr. Bryant.
Yumi, your experience with the various groups and whatnot in Volcano and Puna, how does that translate in other areas of the island?
Thank you very much for asking that question. There's community development plan committees, action committees throughout the whole island, and those plans should be read like laws. These were by the people, for the people, and they're not being implemented. We are no longer even getting together in a meeting. We're no longer asked to be in a meeting. This is a direct, it's wrong. And so we need to come together, all of us, no matter who wins. We need to find out why we don't have a voice, because it's our island. We should develop it as we want by town, you know, according to what everybody needs. And so I just want you to know that I am getting out, especially to the Kona side, because I know you folks feel neglected, and I understand why, because we do too. You're not the only ones.
Thank you.
Dr. Shaneyfelt, your question for a candidate.
Okay, this will be for Lahi. The federal government calling the shots whenever we go get grants. What can you say are some of the problems with that?
Ooh. I think it's a terrible thing to be dependent on the federal government. I think it's a terrible thing to be dependent on food stamps. I think it's a terrible thing to be dependent on any welfare system, and the federal grant system is a welfare system. So I'm not saying we shouldn't take the money, and you know, our congressmen go to Washington, and their biggest job is to get money for the state of Hawaii, and I think there's huge problems with this paradigm, and you know, I would like to hear more from Mikey about this too, because he's coming from the Hawaiian cultural perspective of aloha, and yeah, thank you for asking that question. It's tough. It's tough to turn down money from Big Brother, Uncle Sam.
And do you have a question?
I do, and I would like to hear more from Mikey. Could you tell us how we could use the old ahupua'a system to help our county?
How we can use it? Mm-hmm. The ahupua'a system is based on basically a mountain, from the mountain to the ocean, a segment of land, which allows that piece of land to produce all products from maka to makai. Now, to use that concept today is very different because of everything that's segmented into properties. Now you need to build communities who in this modern time have ownership of these lands, and it's not a collective ownership with the hui, it's collective people, individuals. So now you need to build a rapport in your community to use this concept. And now in present terms, the concept we use is, oh, go on your phone, order something, and it comes in. Mm-hmm. That doesn't work. So the ahupua'a question that you asked me is currently a community. Now we need to harness and strengthen our communities to produce what each community needs. And if we cannot, then we go to the next one.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Okay, do you have questions?
Can I ask a general question? Whoever wants to grab it can grab it.
Sure, I can help you with that.
Okay.
Where's the buzzer?
Yeah. Okay, I sit here as a young man, and I have so much knowledge and so much energy that I entertained and I learned and I soaked in as an island person. I'm a proud father. I have all of these qualities and this energy and the youth of me to go out there as an active person and engage up and down the line in our community. Age bracket, generational gap, can link it all. My question to anybody who's sitting here that's opposing or running against me in this candidacy, what can you do more than I can do, in your eyes?
I'll take it.
Okay.
Thanks, Mikey. So, I'm 51. I have wisdom from my experiences, and I do believe that Hawaii is an occupied nation, and that the United States is in duress and should be, we need to acknowledge this. As mayor, I would raise awareness around this, and I would respect the work of Dr. Keanu Sai and others. I would work for both sides to come to some resolution to move forward. I think my experience being in the United States military and working in that chain of command, I think I can help what's going on here. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Greenwell, did you want to also respond to Mikey?
Yes, I do, and I appreciate what you said. And I also want to say that The best description of sovereignty that I've heard in a long time is one you gave earlier.
Thank you, sir.
It is not about the nationhood of Hawaii, it is about the culture of Hawaii. The nationhood of Hawaii was something that was introduced by European culture. It wasn't Hawaiian. What is really nifty about the Hawaiian culture is it is inclusive. It is the only inclusive culture on the planet. Everyone else is exclusive. The Hawaiians took everything that came, modified it, put it into their lifestyle, and evolved out of it. And as far as I'm concerned right now, that mode needs to go beyond, again, nationhood, and it needs to be applied to the rest of the planet. We need to provide the aloha that's going to save this world. We're the ones charged with that mission. And it comes from the Hawaiian culture, not from the Hawaiian nation.
Thank you. We're going to now pivot back to Big Island Pulse, who has a few questions. Kristen Thario, do you have a question for the candidate? So if you could direct it to the candidate or however the questions came in.
Great. So the first question, and I can tell that there's a lot of passion in this room today, so I'm going to ask you to get a little more specific if we could, because I understand that there's a lot we want to accomplish and a lot we want to do, but I would like to get into the nuts and bolts of how you plan to accomplish some of these things. We talked about revamping education. Now, this is a topic that has been talked about for a very long time, and it is a very big task. How do you plan, and I will start with Yumi Kawano, to revamp education?
You have a 1-minute response to that
Revamp
question.
education. I have a master's in teaching, and my thing was project-based teaching. I could never really get that off the floor because of the No Child Left Behind policy, which was detrimental to our country. Now we're at a time where my thesis was about bringing the indigenous knowledges and the Western knowledges together to integrate and to give the indigenous folks curriculum value or whatever. It's gone. A lot of that's gone. That curriculum's got to come back. I taught Yupik Eskimos in Alaska, and as I went up there, I saw that the curriculum for math and science and such had disappeared already. So I would like to bring that back. The indigenous knowledges. I think the indigenous folks have something that we don't have. They knew how to live in unison with the land. Bring that knowledge back.
Thank you. And now we're going to have all the candidates answer this question.
That's a beautiful question. I tell you, I love it. When I was going to school, we had shop. We had automotive shop. We have ag. We have 4-H clubs. As soon as the state of Hawaii took that away from Kohala, from Puna, and they took them away from Kau, the kids, lucky if they make 9th grade, and they're out of there. Because you get two classes of people. You got the ones on-the-job training kind of guys, and they need a diploma. Then you got the geometry guys. You know, you got to have both of them in the school to get that environment. I don't care whether you're from Punahou, Iolani. I went to a private school too, right below Kamehameha. The best private school in the state that taught us on-the-job training was Farrington, right? That is fabulous. But when they took that away and say, well, you got to be a scholastic guy, they took away all that from the country schools. Disaster.
Mr. Bryant, your response.
I taught high school. I taught Japanese and I taught remedial English, and then I did a half year of 4th graders because I got so ticked off with the high schoolers being so bloody rude. But the answer for me about education here is we promote teachers into administration. We get the good teachers going, and then we give them an administrative job and take them out of the pool, where that's just the stupidest thing they do, you know. Why is not the teacher that is doing the right job and really teaching not better paid and left in the position where she or he is happiest doing it, you know, and we just constantly, or the DOE pushes them into administration. We lost so many at Lapahoehoe, it became a joke over there. So, yeah, I think that's the problem. Administration heavy. Got to change.
Thank you. Dr. Shaneyfelt.
My father was a high school teacher. I taught at the University of Hawaii as well as in Texas and in China. And I guess the best thing I could tell you is from what my father would tell me, that they took away discipline, they took away the Bible, and things went downhill from there. And another thing that we have rising now, especially with COVID, is homeschooling. A lot of people, our best students at the university oftentimes come from homeschools because they have parental involvement. So we need to get parents involved, whether they're homeschooling or not. They still need to be involved. And, you know, homeschooling really does work. We need to have more parents involved, less expecting somebody else is just going to do it for them. It's like students start out, you know, put them in childcare, put them in school, and expect they're going to turn out well, and that doesn't always happen.
Thank you for your answer. I've been discussing with my current partner, if we were to have a family, we would homeschool. There's no question. What we have in the state system is government schools. It's the government training the masses to do what they want. It's their agenda. The No Child Left Behind policy sounds great on paper, but what's happened with the testing system, teaching for the test, it's not working. I was a substitute for 8 years. It was basically a babysitting job. The children were, and it was like they had to be handheld to get anything done. They had to be forced through detention to behave. And yeah, vocational training, I agree, is definitely where it's at for a lot of the kids. They need to, and like I was talking earlier about agriculture, getting school gardens going so that people can learn how to love the land and work with the land. I was a Montessori school student, and freedom. Children need freedom to learn.
Thank you.
I'm going to revamp the question.
Oh, can you repeat the question?
Sure. What would you do to revamp education?
Okay. So every child is born into a family. They don't get to pick the family, right? But these parents get to choose how they raise their child, and that needs to be reinstilled in today's way of living. You got to respect and honor the God-given right to become a parent. And you send that infectious vibe into this child and they grow. Now they start into the education system. What are we teaching them? Well, every child has a God-given talent. And the system we follow today really keeps them narrow-minded. We have to allow our children to engage and become this individual, because they're the best at something. We are all the best at something. But the system we have doesn't allow that. So teaching our kids everything it takes to live on an island is what we should be teaching. So we eliminate more problems than just the education. Makahana ka'ike is what you see, is what you do. What you feel is what you portray. And we really reinstill that in our education system.
Mr. Greenwell.
I think it begins with a recognition of value. What is the most valuable thing that a society can have? And that is an educated population. There is nothing, no amount of money, nothing else measures up to the value of knowing what to do, when to do it, etc. And that comes from education. From a tactical standpoint, what I think we need is a lot more small schools. Schools where the students can get to know each other better as an entire population of students rather than groups of students getting together, et cetera, et cetera. Small schools having more practical, more relationship to the area that the school is in, and more relationship to the people that live in that community. That's all part of the educational process, and that's what I would do.
Mr. Ruggles.
Yeah, I think we need to invest more. I don't believe teachers get paid enough. I don't believe we have enough teachers. And as she pointed out, when you're a substitute teacher, it's hard to keep the kids on task because you're not familiar with the curriculum. So I also believe it's important to have the kids become computer literate, and so I think it would be good to do a combo. I think kids should go to school, but also stay home a part of the week. So I'd like to see it do like college, like Tuesday, Thursday, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I think it would help the kids get a better education, and it would relieve traffic on the roads. It's something I've been thinking about for a long time because, but the real rub with it was, well, who's going to watch the kids when they're home? And so now with things changing and parents working at home, maybe we can work on that.
Thank you. And now, given all of your responses, panelist Ilihia wants to ask a redirected question to all of you, and you have 30 seconds to respond. Your question.
Mahalo, Madam Moderator. So we just spent some time talking about education, and mahalo to all of you for your answers. In Hawaii, education is a state function, not a county function as it is in some places across the U.S. So for this round, I'd like to ask you to identify one state function, whether it's education or something else, one state function, and what the county can do within its responsibilities to improve that function.
Okay, with that question, we're going to start with Mr. Ka'ehuaia to answer that question, and then we'll go all the way around, and you will be the final answer for that.
I got two systems that I'm really cherish to talk about. One, Department of Hawaiian Homes. I've been on Hawaiian Homes 48 years. I haven't seen a change, even when we had a Hawaiian governor. That department needs to be straightened out. The other one is OHA. OHA is doing a fantastic job of not helping the Hawaiians. Those two departments should be a privatized company outside, not in the state system, because they're controlled by the governor. Amen.
Could I ask a follow-up to my follow-up? And my apologies if the question wasn't clear. If you could identify a state function and then tell us what the county could do that is within the county's responsibilities to improve that.
Hawaiian Homes then.
Okay, so what would the county do
I want
within
the
its
county to find out the Hawaiians, we have to go through the county rules and regulations to build a home. Did Safeway, did all the other commercial venture on Hawaiian Homes land, did they go through the system? I don't think so. How did they get the permit? I want to know more about that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Bryant.
One of the things that we talked about when I was teaching was that we should have a county board of education, a county-centered board of education. We should take that away from the state. We don't need somebody over in Oahu telling us how to run our schools. We have a different system over here. We have a different spacing of the schools, and they all have to be taken into account. So I think a county-wide board of education, instead of letting the state run it, would be best.
Dr. Shaneyfelt.
Yeah, the question was about adding other layers to what already exists at the state level, and I don't really think that's the answer to almost anything. I think that we probably need to remove layers. If anything, let the state first give up some of their kuleana and give it back to the county where we can have more control. Then we can decide what we want to do. But to add more layers on top of that's probably going to make more people more frustrated. It's like they have rules, somebody wants to have like building codes or something, and then you got to put another layer of building codes and by the time people want to get a building permit, it's taking a year.
Thank you. Ms. Verschuur.
I definitely agree with Dr. Shaneyfelt. You know, the U.S. Constitution is the law of the land here, and the Constitution was set up for the states to have power, and that power is also being misused by the federal government. So we can look at the same thing here. We have the state and we have the county government. So the county government needs to have more control, like Dr. Shaneyfelt said. We need to have, and I agree with what Paul was saying about the County Board of Education. The county should be in control of our schools, not the state, not the federal government. We need to look here at home.
Thank you. Mr. Glendon.
Okay, so this is just for 30 seconds, so I'm gonna hit this one. The county for the education side, it's a state entity. But the county does take care of all our extracurricular parks, where the kids are truly engaging because they want to. So now, with $100,000 of my salary, I already designed this thing. It's an agricultural park that entertains a child. Now the county has control of what we do at these parks. And we have appropriated parcels in each subdivision. So building this plan, which is on my website, will help us.
Thank you. Mr. Greenwell.
Because I am familiar with the ag park system, I think that is absolutely correct. The ag park system should be a function of the county, and it should be dramatically expanded upon, and that should also be included in the educational system so that there is practical opportunities for practical knowledge to be gained in the field of agriculture and just in management general. Thank you.
Yeah, Hawaii copied their constitution from Alaska, which is a home rule state. Currently, we're not using it. In 2008, the county passed the lowest law enforcement priority, and they refused to follow it, and a judge ruled in the Supreme Court that they didn't have to. I don't believe we should still go by laws that were passed 50 years ago and have them go in front of what was passed just in 2008 that was the direct will of the people. So we really do need home rule.
Thank you. Ms. Kawano.
I'm not really sure on your question. Is it that you're asking us, should there be something that the county takes over that the state's doing? I'm not exactly sure.
So maybe not to take it over, but for things that are traditionally and currently state functions, you can pick one and tell us how the county, within the powers that responsibilities it does have, how could the county improve that thing?
I'm thinking about COVID-19. Like, I think listening to the COVID-19 talks by Tulsi Gabbard in the town hall meetings with Josh Green, our lieutenant governor, it seems as if the islands, each mayor does what they think is best for the best of the island as far as the health. I think that should be expounded upon, because as we move into the new century, the century we're in, it will become even more pertinent that as a county government, we can make decisions what's best for our people.
Thank you very much. And thank you to all of our panelists for the questions and for engaging with our candidates. We're now reaching that moment where we start to close. And we're going to have closing statements from each candidate. That will be 2 minutes from each person, beginning with Paul Bryant.
Oh, lucky me. As most of you know, and some of the panelists know, I was not in favor of these two-pod situation where we have 8 candidates here or 7 candidates here and 8 candidates separate. I really wanted to be able to discuss with them or question them about some of the ideas, and we are being able to send them some questions. I don't know if I have got time to listen to them or not, but I will look for them for sure. I think that this is a good opportunity, regardless of the unhappiness that I caused. I really feel strongly that the county needs to be responsive to all of the ideas that have come up here and all of the ideas that will come up in Pod 2. And somebody that ends up being mayor has to have their bloody ears cleaned out and listen to these ideas, because these ideas that we're talking about, they're not all applicable, I know that, but they're ideas that are we're the people speaking, and we're speaking for the people. I mean, I don't see anybody here that isn't a community member, you know. I mean, I don't know you outside of that. As far as I can tell, I'm the only, well, Wendell, you ran in 2016 too. I'm sorry. Wendell and I are old timers for the mayor's thing, you know. And boy, let me tell you, 2016 ticked me off no end. That's why I'm here again. And I really feel strongly that this type of situation has to be expanded upon. And I think that the people have to be able to ask questions directly, more of them and more fiercely, actually, to tell you the truth. So that's my take on it. And thank you very much, Katie, even though you're ticked off at me.
Your closing statements, Dr.
Yeah,
Shaneyfelt?
thank you. Yeah, I had always admired Harry Kim, the way he had running the county up until recently. And then I just, for reasons I mentioned earlier about Leilani, I decided it was really important that somebody come in here and remember that whoever is elected here, whether it's me or somebody else, that the job description, your primary job description, you have to recite it the first day it's your oath of office. Everybody should remember that. Don't forget it while you're there. If somebody needs to go and save their things, it's not your job to tell them no at gunpoint. I'm going to turn you around. You can't go around my roadblock. You have to let the people to have the freedoms. Okay, we have a constitution. If we're not going to consider ourselves to be the Hawaiian government, then we have a county level of government. If we are the Hawaiian government, then we don't have a county because that was established later. Okay, so even if we have a county, then we're under the U.S. and we have this oath. We have to remember it, and that is our primary responsibility to the people. And second of all is that we're not here to build a giant empire, okay? We're not to see how we can reward people for spending more. We want to see in the upcoming years, we're going to have trouble with the lost revenue that we've had from COVID. Reward people for going under budget. Don't make it so that you have to spend everything you're given in order to get rewarded next year. I've been, since I worked at the universities and stuff, seen that. I see people laughing. I see that happening all the time. Here's $10,000. You need to spend it by Tuesday. Okay, well, come up with something that you can spend it. How about having a way that can be reallocated next year if it isn't spent, and that sort of thing. We need to be a little bit more efficient, and that sort of thing towards our people responsible.
Thank you. And Ms. Verschuur, you have 2 minutes for your closing statements.
Thank you. So my Hawaiian name was given to me by Dennis Kamakahi, rest in love, and it is Puakea Lahi Lahi Okawauna Hele, the sacred white light shining forth from the inland universe. And I take that to heart, and I see myself as a torch, as a light, as a voice for the people, both of the Hawaiian people and the rest of us who are, lucky to live here in Hawaii. I have been arrested most recently, and this kind of tags along with what Dr. Shaneyfelt was just talking about. There was a roadblock. I wanted to go around it to make an offering to Pele. This was when the lava was flowing in 2018 in Leilani. And I was arrested with interfering with government operations. Whose government? What government? This was the National Guard. This was our keiki put in camouflage uniforms to protect what? And the whole thing, my whole record has been expunged. But I have a certificate from the Attorney General's office, and I have nothing on my record. So I just wanted to make that clear. And I also just wanted to tell the people a little bit about my campaign and how I'm running it. I'm not a big money campaign. I am accepting donations. I'm working for the people. I've opened a new campaign headquarters in Leilani. I'm renting a hale there, which is a halau ohana, the Harry Jim ohana. And I've taken in houseless people who are now working for me. They're getting room and board. They're completely dedicated to the campaign. They're extremely loyal, and it's all from the heart. So it's been a slow process to make that work, but I'm committed to doing that and getting volunteers to help me. So thank you for your support.
Thank you. Mikey, Glendon.
Okay. So as an island resident, this position I'm entertaining and hopefully acquire takes a deeper feeling to my heart. And now the outcome of any actions that we cohesively put into the betterment of our island affects all of us. Now the difference here is the knowledge I entertained. See, my family has, I believe, I might be off and short a few degrees, 16 degrees of higher education. That's not including high school. from PhD down to doctorates, no, from PhD down to master's degrees, law degrees, bachelor's degrees. That's my family. I chose the route of island knowledge with the mentality that my family used to entertain these degrees. So I took on everything I needed to learn to survive on this island, as well as upbringing my children in the system that I feel works here, which is the Hawaiian culture. It helps us through everything. It has no problems. It has solutions, heart, and sustainability. All the questions we have. Because we can entertain every single problem we have today, and every mayor prior to us has, with band-aids, financial band-aids even. It has never solved the core problems, and the core issues will be solved with the traditional values of the Hawaiian culture. It's already here, it's a part of our people, and it's easily implemented by us as Hawaiians. Now we just need the population to entertain our Hawaiian culture a little bit more than what American society has allowed it to do. Now with that being said, I'm very young and I'm very ready to take care of our island. And if you entertain all the things I have on my website as the information I put out there, you'll learn more about me.
Thank you. Mr. Greenwell.
Thank you. The reason I'm in this room today is because I've been hearing over the last several years all about the problems that were faced in the islands here. And it dawned on me, I think a long time ago actually, but the fact of the matter is that problems are the precursor to opportunity. You can't have an opportunity really unless you have a problem. And so if we focus on the opportunity, some rather incredible things become obvious. One of the things that we haven't taken advantage of, and I want to speak of money here as a tool rather than how we ordinarily think of money as just a measure of wealth or profit, but as a tool. At the federal level, the Farm Bill, the federal Farm Bill is out there at the $900 billion piece of legislation, of which the County of Hawaii is entitled to approximately $3 billion. We have never gone after that money because we've never been able to come up with the huge kinds of projects that we could fund with that money. Now's the time to start thinking about what can we do? What role does Hawaii play going into the future? The culture of this place, as I said earlier, the culture of this place is inclusive. We need to include the world. They need us. It's not the other way around. And for reasons that you speak, we have the tools. We have them in a closet somewhere. Bring them out, let's use them. But let's go after what we're entitled to at the federal level and get it. But let's start thinking in innovative and creative stuff.
Thank you. Mr. Ruggles.
Thank you. And I appreciate everybody's attention. And I feel like we have three big issues facing the Big Island. And that's the economy, the environment, and the criminal justice system. And I feel like they're all intertwined. You know, recently you had the George Floyd incident, and it pointed out that we have some problems with the criminal justice system. Over here, it's the same way. They discriminate against the locals and the Hawaiians. And I really believe that what we're doing now, shoving 5 people to a cell, is actually worse than murder. Murder's pretty heinous. But what's worse than murder? Torture. So let's quit torturing the mentally ill for having a drug addiction problem, and let's try to help them. Now, I believe that we've never had a better time to focus in on trickle-up economics. We can actually start helping these people with community farms. I'd love to put certified kitchens in every district and have them manned. And I'd also, you know, we have to start helping the vulnerable if we put them to work, if we have incentives for the small businesses to hire these people, then this is going to help. This is what's going to save the island, and it's going to save the economy. And I certainly hope that we give a chance for the local economy and that we start having the mayor take care of the locals over the tourists. Let's not go back to tourism too soon, folks. Let's get the local economy going first, and then once we're strong, we can worry about tourism. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, you have 2 minutes. Yumi Kawano.
Okay, thank you very much for this opportunity to have been able to speak to the public and to our voters and to one another. I've learned so much from everyone here today. This is the kind of dialogue that I've been craving for at the CDP meetings and with the community. It's a real challenge trying to get people involved, as most of you guys know that. People are inundated with just trying to live, just trying to make a living here. And so I guess my big thing is wise land use. And I mean that very well much, because I don't think that we're doing that. Those CDPs are our link to doing what we as a community want. And those town centers have got to become self-sufficient because the next disaster is right around the corner. We know that. And are we ready? Are we ready? And so we have to be ready by building community. And I know that sounds like such a cliche, but we don't live community like we used to. Not the Hawaiians, well, maybe the Hawaiians are doing it better but we're not. We've got to do that. And I really believe we can, like never before, because of the situations that we're in. So I'm thinking about beautifying this island and putting people to work. Maybe you could say bring back the Civilian Conservation Corps, the Youth Conservation Corps, those kinds of programs. They're federally funded, but maybe we could do our own. I don't know, but there's a whole lot of people that have a whole lot of needs, and we're here to meet each other's needs as a community, as small communities, and as at large as bigger communities. And so how do we link each other? That's my biggest question. How do we come together on a regular basis and feel like we're just one? And I want to continue to keep this dialogue going.
Thank you. Closing statements. Wendell, you are the
I think it would be the anchor for this crew. You know, I want to say mahalo to the panel. Christine, thank you. And my good friend over there, Miles, and of course, Elia. You know, and the camera guys. I want to thank the guys in the front desk and the whole staff here. You know why? Because I worked for Naleo for 15 years, a long time ago, before all these fabulous things in the studio. Big change, and it's a fabulous operation now. Right, ladies in the front? Anyway, I think the mayor should come out of this group right here, because this is the group up and honest. The next group coming up are former county employees, present county employees. If your life is not better today, why think about them? Think about us. Thank you.
Okay, and it's worth repeating to mahalo the crew and mahalo our panelists. We also want to thank all of you. You know, it takes a lot for you to come forward, to answer these questions, to put you on the spot, to ask somebody else a question. So I want to congratulate you for your performance today, and mahalo for your time. I want to thank all the viewers for tuning in. It's very important for you to hear these voices because it's really up to you to cast that vote. So we want to mahalo you for tuning in. And please, if you want more information, go to bigislandpulse.com or their Facebook page. It's going to be replayed. So mahalo to all of you. Make the right choice. Make sure you heard it again. Go to bigislandpulse.com. Mahalo. I'm Donalyn Dela Cruz, and it's been an honor. Aloha.
The preceding program was a production of Naleo TV.